As we begin to see some returns to normal and our community and our competitive sport creep out of hibernation and back into its normal habitat, that overwhelming sense of frustration and helplessness will start to ease. However, we will also start to see some other just as powerful emotions impacting our athletes. Just as quickly as that frustration kicked in when they made the announcement that all sport and sporting venues were going to close, and that frustration quickly turned to helplessness as we got caught in that Groundhog Day of home isolation and home training. And now with that excitement of being able to return, albeit with a very controlled format, we will see that excitement quickly shift to being anxious and having some forms of anxiety in many athletes. What if I hadn't done enough in lockdown? What if I hadn't done enough before we had lockdown? What if I can't do my skills anymore? What if I feel different when I get back to training? What if others have done more than I have? What if my club isn't the same? What if I have a different coach, a different time, or different teammates? All of these dialogue and concerns will be going through many of our athletes' minds. As much as they're excited to get back into training and get back into competition, there will be some increased doubts over their capability of doing so. As soon as the world was placed in lockdown due to the pandemic, our athletes' normal, very disciplined, very controlled and very measured world was turned off overnight. Training was suspended, competitions were cancelled, major events were put into doubt like the Olympics, and unfortunately, many athletes' careers were ended at that point. And these normally highly structured athletes and coaches were left simply without any kind of goals, any kind of focus, or any kind of daily framework that they were used to. Their only objective was to get back to training. That survival mechanism had kicked in for them. Of course, many athletes took to doing their home conditioning, either in small groups via the internet or on their own. However, the interactivity and the stimulation that they were so used to was often missing. So what can we do? Well, I've treated this pandemic as though it's an injury rehabilitation and reinstigation process back into competition and training for my traditional athletes. Many of them have taken on this time to work on very specific skill sets. Now that can be an individual skill, it could be a technique, it could be their communication or their leadership style. What they've chosen to do is find one thing to be incredibly focused on. As coaches and parents, there are a number of things that we can be doing alongside the athlete. Now, number one, we can be helping them focus on the things that have been quite positive during this period. Of course, it's been a terrible time globally and for sport as well. However, there have been opportunities for us to refocus and recalibrate. Maybe it's as simple as allowing those niggling injuries to naturally heal without us consistently aggravating them. It could be catch up on our sleep, on time with our family, maybe able to eat healthier or spend time on our own we don't normally get. It could be spending some time on re-educating ourselves, either within our sport or outside the sport. Maybe even focus on some of those skills we mentioned earlier. It's a great opportunity to reset objectives, that recalibration process. The club's objectives, the coach's objectives, ours as parents and as athletes. And maybe even our support specialists, our strength and conditioning, mental coaches. Resetting objectives allows us to refocus and bring back into perspective the things that are really important to us. It's a great time to realign the goals with the new timeline. So often our process hasn't changed, it's either been extended, like in the case of the Olympics, which is 12 months later, or it's been compressed, like many sporting competitions that have now been condensed into a shorter time frame for this season. The process that we go through and the goals and objectives along the way haven't always changed. They just change in location or position in our timeline. For athletes, it's a great opportunity to focus on your language patterns, making sure that it's positive language and directional language. You know, I talk about red cars, we get what we focus on and we get to see what we focus on. It's an opportunity to be towards driven, Now, with all the conversation that's going on, people are very focused on what's happened, getting us as parents, as coaches, and as athletes to realign and recalibrate, to look forward. What can we achieve? What do we need to do next to keep moving forward? And for us as coaches and parents, it's super important to have positive language around looking for similarities and commonalities rather than focusing on all the differences. What we want to do is create the familiarity and comfort for athletes to start looking for those familiarities again. What are the similarities to our normal training? And for us to really understand, this is going to take a bit of time, not to put pressure on ourselves to walk back into our training and expect to be exactly where we left off. Here at the Smart Mind, many of our courses can help you deal with and understand some of the challenges you're going to have as you get back into the normal training environment and back onto that competition field. Our strategies and our training programs have worked incredibly well for many athletes over decades. We can now utilize these skills online through video training programs. For example, our Beating Mental Blocks course, we discuss managing fears and anxieties and what we can do to better understand the causation of those. In our skill acquisition training, we focus on creating reliable, replicable, and trusted blueprints and the triggers. In our visualization course, we look at harnessing our imagination to create possibilities and create objectives and direction. We also focused on the individual roles of everybody in our Building Teams course. That allowed us to hone everybody's input to create a team that is synergistic and focused on success. This July, we're going to be releasing 3 new courses. Compete Like a Champion, which is designed specifically for athletes to prepare for competition and know that they are ready. Mental Resilience, that deals with the successes and the fails of competitive life and what we can do to better create a robust resilience. And Patterns of Success, understanding our own unique patterns of how we can perform smart each and every time. So look out for those. So don't wait for things to become an issue. Get in front of the curve. Arm yourself with knowledge, strategies, and skills that will allow you to transition back into your training and back into your competitive life the best way possible. Check out smartmindhub.com or click on the link below and I'll take you straight there. My name's Dave Diggle. I'm a mental performance specialist.